Marie. She's an 18-year-old Arab mare that we've had since she was 4. Been trimming her on a 1-week. She started out in steel shoes, but I pulled shoes when she was 5, and she's been barefoot since. I've had her in a 1 to 3 week trim for 13 years. So we're going to do a hoof mapping video and trim. Trim might be the next video if the mapping's too long, but yeah, because the mapping was requested. So I think that's a good place to start. It's probably been a couple weeks since she had a trim. A little bit of bar growth, but it's not any longer than the walls, so it's good. That little towel, the little rag.
It's in one of the pockets in there.
Okay.
I think it's, there you go.
It's a little bit wet today, so I don't know how well this marker is going to work, but we'll do our best. First thing I'm going to do is make a line and do an axis line right down the middle of her foot from the tip of the frog to the center of the central sulcus. Okay, and then I'm going to run that out to the widest part of the foot, which is the apex of this quarter curve. And same thing on this other side, which is right there. I want to make sure that's on the sole and not just the wall. So that's going to be the widest part of the foot. The little wall separation right there. That's the side she leans on. She used to be really pigeon-toed. Okay, so the next line I'm going to do is here. That's where the bars, this line here is the widest part of the foot. That's where the bars should end. They're overgrown to here, but you can see there's another break right there. When I'm done trimming, they'll be right at that line. You can see the symmetry of her foot. She wings out a little bit right here, but it's mostly in the wall, just from 2 weeks of going without a trim. If I come over here, there's about a 3/16 of an inch left on that side. Over here, there's probably a good 5/8, so we'll take a look at that later. The next place I'm going to put a line is at the widest part of her frog, the back of the heels. I'm going to put one at the seed of corn, back of the sole, and then I'm going to put one between the lamina and the tip of the frog, halfway. That's the toe pillars right here and here, and it's also the tip of the coffin bone. Okay, so then I'm going to outline, don't really need this because it's pretty obvious, but here I'm going to outline the lamina, the peripheral edge of the sole. And then I'm going to put, these are her heel contact points here, and here's her toe pillars. Okay, so I'm going to join those with a line. And then I'm going to cut these corners off right here. So that's her coffin bone right there. And it's nicely in the center of that foot. And one more thing I can do is go from diagonal pillar to heel. Pillar to heel. And if you look at that, that lands right on the intersection of the other line. So that's a pretty balanced foot. Okay. There's a lot to mapping. There's more than I can explain in one video, but that's just how I'm looking at a foot. I don't map to trim anymore. I used to. I'm gonna put her foot down. I used to map to trim. Now I just map to assess, map to teach, but it's always in my head. I'm looking at certain proportions and always trying to balance that coffin bone. So I'm trimming to the coffin bone, not to the leg. It's everything that you really need to know is in the sole plane, and you can make all the corrections without thinking about the leg. That's where I think a lot of people get into trouble. They try to figure out what's going on all the way up here, and they get lost by the time they get to the foot, and they're making their best guess. In order to balance the coffin bone, you need to be able to read the sole and trim to the sole and slowly bring the hoof capsule around, evenly around the coffin bone. But you got to know where the coffin bone is first. This is a well-developed, balanced foot. In the future, we'll do more mapping on crooked and bad feet. So